Finally tonight, some perspective. Mass layoffs in big tech are a wake-up call for the so-called trophy participation generation. In real time, over the last couple years, we've seen a trend that began on TikTok, which is what your kids are probably on. Young big tech employees bragging about the luxurious campuses that they arrive to on days when they choose to not work from their beds. Twitter, Google, Facebook, etc., with campuses that have been described as adult daycares for some of this country's most spoiled 20-somethings. Just take a look at this.
Another day in my life working from the Google LA office. I waited out traffic and got in around 10 this morning. Unfortunately, that means I missed breakfast, but there's always food in the grab-and-go fridge. They also had this really cute hot cocoa bar set up with tons of different toppings. They even had some peppermint bark, but this is definitely a food pop-up and it's not normally here.
Here's a day in the life working at Google as an account strategist in LA. The office parking lot was actually so full today that I had to valet my car, which was free. As soon as I walked in, I grabbed my breakfast for today, which is going to be this iced coffee and a banana, got to work for a few hours. Then I decided to walk over to the nap room, which yes, Google has nap rooms, and people actually use them.
First up, we got the cafe on the 10th floor. One of the great benefits of working at Google.
So you see what it is. I mean, there's loads of that. TikTok, Instagram, and littered with clips like this, boasting of free meals, free gym, free massages, snack rooms, nap rooms, yoga rooms. Luxuries that no doubt come at a high cost for these tech companies. Twitter was reportedly spending more than $13 million a year feeding its bratty staff until Elon showed up. Musk fired more than 2/3 of Twitter staff. Google firing 12,000. Meta, which is Facebook, firing 11,000. As big tech expects a bloodbath coming for the American economy. And now, in a spectacular about-face, the companies who have coddled America's weakest and most perpetually offended generation are treating these adult babies like cattle. The layoffs from these places have been brutal. Many waking up to learn they're fired after showing up to their nap and massage parlor / office to find that their key badge no longer works. Others waking up at 8:59 in the morning to discover that they can't log into their work from home laptops while laying in bed. The influencers that spent all day telling you how much better their lives and their jobs were are now weeping on TikTok and complaining about how they've been treated.
No one was consulted on this decision, and everyone was just finding out about the layoffs at the same time. It just felt like a really bad game of Russian roulette, and there was no consistency around who was let go. It was also not performance-based, so it just felt really random.
We hit our overall revenue goal by the end of the year. And another part of my team makes amazing YouTube videos, and they had won all these awards, and so we were celebrating a week before it happened. You can't make this up.
I can't get on to my laptop. So I texted my boss. He said, oh, must be a computer problem because there's been no changes to our team. Then 10 minutes later, he hits me with a, I'm so sorry. So I'm like, keep in mind, I was the highest performer in my job function in my business unit. So I was never really worried about layoffs.
It's interesting because a lot of them complained about merit in this thing. Liberal big tech companies and their employees have been at the forefront of modern American liberalism and the woke agenda. The idea that these companies would consider merit in their layoffs, wouldn't that be considered incredibly bigoted to these people? Merit? Isn't that against the law these days? After all, just because some of them had the privilege of being raised and educated in a manner that made them more capable of doing a good job, that doesn't mean that they should be immune from layoffs, does it? Why are you talking about merit? Evidently, Google employees who survived the layoffs joined a remote meeting, and many were highly critical of the management, probably not smart. At least one demanding psychological safety from their bosses, another asking how they could ever feel safe again. Somebody that didn't get laid off asking how they could ever feel safe again working at Google, where you have a nap room and 3 free meals a day should you want them. If you feel like going to work, by the way. You can just stay home every day. The entitlement around all of this has been surreal to watch. And one final thought. You wonder if any of these people realize that their coddled work environment from companies that outwardly portrayed themselves as anti-capitalist is why they're now unemployed. The tens of millions spent creating a Zen-like spa for these kids to work in is a big part of the reason why their key badge didn't work on Monday. And what a dose of reality that is. Yes, the companies that champion the liberal agenda, that silence conservatives and promote pseudo-Marxist ideals and equity in almost every angle of their messaging, are the most phony institutions in all the land. And the moment that their profit is threatened, They dispose of their prized employees in the most degrading way possible. Is there any better message that you can send to show what these companies really stand for, what they really are, how fake that whole movement is, how fake it all is, how phony it all is? It's astonishing.